Y'all, I've got some new plants, and before you get mad at me, because yes, I did do a big plant purge in January time where I got rid of like 50 plus plants, like a good chunk of my collection, because I was like feeling overwhelmed and like just couldn't take the stress of some of them anymore because I wasn't feeling like I loved them. I was just holding on to things for the sake of it. Since then, I have been extremely intentional about what I am bringing into my collection and really thinking before I go about anything. So a lot of these plants are wishlist plants, plants that I've wanted for a while, or they are plants that I have swapped for, where I swapped out more plants than I brought in, which I'm totally not mad at. I am very, very happy to have done so because it has gotten rid of some that I didn't love and then added some new ones to my collection to try. But I wanted to show you all of them and essentially go through and pot them up together, and we can chat about them and just hang out for a little bit. Before I get into that though, I want to say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanting content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanting journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate you returning. Now, let's do these fun things. So I guess first off, I can show you all of them. The one you're seeing most intensely right now, this big guy, it's a bit of a spoiler for my last video where I was plant shopping because I found, oh, the sun's a bit not working here. I got myself one of my wishlist plants, a Begonia ferox. When I was out plant shopping the other day, I was fully not expecting to get anything. When I was plant shopping, I was more like window shopping, seeing what was out there. And you know, I found a wishlist plant at B&Q. There was only 2 of them, and I figured I deserved to treat myself. You can see the lovely like black spikes on this Begonia. Super exciting. It's so cool and weird. And like the new leaves that come in are super fuzzy in there. It's just a really cool one that I'm glad I was able to pick up. It's one that I've been thinking about for months, which is awesome. And then this guy, it's also another wishlist plant. I don't think I've ever actually included it in a wishlist plant video because I always forget about it until I'm seeing other variegated or non-variegated jade plants. And when I was out with Claire the other day, you might have seen it in my vlog channel or over on her Patreon, we went to a garden center and £1.99 for a variegated jade plant, which like you really don't see these much in the UK. Also, I've heard that you can't propagate the variegated jade plants from the like just a leaf like you can with the non-variegated one. I don't quite understand that, but you know, that's what I've been told, and I've never had success trying to do that in the past. So excited to add this little guy to my collection. And then I got this little pinguicula pot from the lovely Becca. I'll put her Instagram on the screen because she makes these really adorable little ping pots. Look at that, mine's a little triangle and it's got the most beautiful glaze on it. It honestly reminds me of Van Gogh's Starry Night, which is so nice. It's like this black with like blue and yellow in it. And I was looking for a ping to put in it and she was like, oh, you should have told me. I've got loads of Pinguicula cyclosecta props. And so she gave me some props of that I'm going to be potting up into my little ping pot, which is super exciting. And cyclosectas, they're gorgeous. I think the like purple of those, if I can grow it in high light next to this like Starry Night pot, is going to be fantastic. So looking forward to that. She also was getting rid of her outer variegated Hoya polyneura, so I figured I could join that in with mine so we can have a little slightly fuller pot of these. And then also I agreed to do a swap with someone specifically for an Alocasia venom corm, which is in here. Oh yeah. I mean, it's not gonna look like all that much because it's just a corm, but it's starting to root, which is very exciting, and it looks like it's starting to sprout as well. So I was gonna trade for this Alocasia venom corm, and then this person was like, should we do like a full-on swap? And I'm like, heck yeah, swaps are fun. And so we did a little mystery swap, and I'm super excited about these really fun new additions to the collection, including the Alocasia venom. But I've got 2 cuttings sitting in a water propagation over there. These are both fresh cuts. One is a Syndapsis trubii dark form, which I haven't had in ages, so I'm excited to try again. And the other one is an epipremnum. I don't exactly remember the name of it, but I will pop it on the screen. It's a fun looking epipremnum that I've never had before, so I'm excited to add. And then I've also got a couple of begonias that I am going to try as well. So this first one is the Begonia Black Mamba. And I mean, who doesn't love a nice dark goth plant? And these are just propagating in some sphagnum moss. And then these I'd never heard of before, but they look so cool. It is a Begonia cumbia. Look how stunning those leaves are. They're super dark and they've got kind of like silvery spots on them. I think these are both rhizomaceous begonias or rexy. This one might be a rex. This one might be as well. I don't know. I'm not as well versed in like rhizomaceous and rex begonias as I am in cane begonias, so we're just gonna vibe it and check these out to see if they are ready to pot up. Those are all of the plants. I think what we could do first, or what I want to do first, is the little ping pot, because I think it will be stinking cute. There we go. We can do a little bit of a headless, and then you can actually see what I am doing in here. So the way these pots work is that they have a little hole in there at the bottom, and when you water it, you put water in this little moat almost reservoir, and the water then gets wicked up into the substrate. And so I'm going to pot it a little bit differently to how I have in the past, and this is based off of the instructions from Becca. And you're supposed to, with these ones, put a layer of sphagnum moss down at the bottom, just so the like substrate can't fall through the hole in the pot. So little layer of sphagnum. And then I've got my peat-free ping substrate, which I am just going to put on top. This is a fairly sandy mix, which should do quite well for this. I've never grown pings from such small little things before. I know pings normally come to you small, even when you're buying like technically full plants, but I've never had ping props previously. And so it's a little bit nerve-wracking. I'm gonna do like 2 small little dents in the substrate. And I mean, ideally I'd have tweezers. Do I have anything like that? I found these little tongs, which might be slightly easier to pick it up with than my fingers. It's hard though because I can't feel it as well. Sorry for not speaking. I'm just trying to concentrate while I get this potted in here. Oh my goodness. 1 down. It's like a surgical procedure. 1 down, 1 to go. Okay, yeah, that worked quite well. Propagating pings is something I want to try at some point as well, because it does look like quite easy, fairly similar to succulent propagation, where you just take a leaf off and you propagate it. But I've never been the best at leaf propagating succulents anyways, so it does make me a little bit nervous. Oh my goodness. Okay, these are so tiny ditty. Look how cute that looks though. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait for these to grow out. Did I say these are cyclosecta pings? If I didn't already, or didn't put it on the screen, that is what they are. They just look so good in there, and I'm probably gonna put this in my Mills bow purely because the lights in there seem to be better currently for my pings. I don't really have the right ping setup exactly yet in my home. And so I want it to be able to like get light quite close to it. And the only place I can do that right now is in the Mills bow. And then I suppose we could do the Alocasia venom, which is just in this tiny little pot with some sphagnum moss. And honestly, I might just keep using this pot because it's a nice little pot, but I'm going to put some fluval stratum into it to propagate this thing in. I have my little mix of fluval stratum and perlite. It is a 50-50 mix, I promise, but it just tends to separate itself out. I think it's because they're different weights and densities, and so they just like, they separate on their own. I don't quite understand it, but they do. And pop it in, maybe just take a little bit more substrate and cover up that root there. And I'll need to wet this as well. I could just at the beginning keep the lid on it to keep the moisture in. I think I will once I water it, but again, this is going to go into the Mills bow. This guy I want to put into some cactus and succulent soil because I do have some of that. Because like, look, I did just water it the other day, but it was a bit hydrophobic. This soil, while it might work well at a like nursery or a garden center, in my home, these need to be in a much, much more like well draining mix. This is just way too thick for them. And I mean, my normal jade plant is in cacti and succulent mix, and so this one can be too. This was the only one in the shop as well, which is kind of crazy because I literally had said to Claire earlier when we were looking at jade plants, because they had some quite big jade plants, like, oh, what I really want is a variegated one. And then we were just looking through all of the plants they had in the shop, and lo and behold, they had a single one of these. And I'm pretty positive that variegated jade plants are not necessarily cheap here in the UK. In the US, like in California, where I'm originally from, where I've gone plant shopping also, you can get them like quite large for outside, and that's kind of wild to me. I'm just going to be using the cacti and succulent soil from Soil Ninja. It's a brand new bag of this stuff. But the fact that you can buy them for your outside in California and you can't find them at all really in the UK is crazy. And for only £2, there was no freaking way I was not adding this one to my collection. And also the joy of jade plants is that they're so easy. Like one of the most low maintenance plants in my collection. I don't have to stress about watering them frequently or them going downhill easily. They have just been so chill. And so I feel like adding this one doesn't actually add any extra care really into my collection, and it makes it a little bit more reasonable. So there we go. Now she's potted up in some better soil. And then we've got these guys, which, I mean, probably mine was due for a repot anyways. I haven't repotted this since October last year, and I know it's definitely done a lot of rooting in there, and so it's not really that big of a deal to add another one in when I do so. I think pot-wise, I still want to keep it clear, but I kind of have two options. I've got the aeroid tower pots or just some sort of plain orchid pot. I don't really know. I don't think it matters too much which one I do. Let's go for this one just because it's slightly slimmer. Actually, no, I lied. I'm going for this one because I feel like when the polyneura gets long, they have a tendency to topple over a bit more easily. So it's just a little bit safer with a wider one. And I would use anthurium and orchid soil for Hoyas normally, but alas, I don't have any more, so I'm going to have to go in with the tiniest bit of monster and philodendron soil that I have left. I need to get some more soil, but because I don't have as many plants anymore, it's not as, or I don't need to do as many like repots, which means I don't need soil as frequently. But yeah, like adding this second one to my collection here, it's going in the same pot. So like it's not actually adding anything to the collection. It's purely just filling out my pot, which one day I still genuinely hope to have a inner variegated one that I can join in with these guys as well. I think that would look so nice. The two of them like in the pot next to each other. I just know it would look so beautiful. And one day I will get an inner variegated one. It is still on my wish list, and it's actually also wouldn't be any sort of big deal about me adding it into the collection because again, it is just going to go into this pot. And so it really doesn't make much of a difference whether I add it or not. And that's part of this sort of like intentional collecting that I'm doing at the minute, where I have specific reasons why I'm adding things and things that aren't adding extra work and effort into my collection, as opposed to just buying new plants for the sake of it and adding loads more work. I mean, that being said, I probably didn't need to buy the Ferox, but I haven't seen one in a store in so long. And to find one in a big box store, it just kind of felt like it was the right moment for me to have one. So I got it. That's filled out nicely now. And it's a good size up for this one. Whee! Oh, that looks so nice in there. I'm obsessed. Okay, cool. And then we can have a look at these begonias because I don't know if they are quite ready yet to pot up. Ideally, I prefer begonias in semi-hydro, even the like Rex begonias. But since these have been growing in moss, I kind of feel like the better bet might be to keep them in soil. Or maybe even sphagnum for now, because they're not that rooted in there. Oh my goodness. They do have tiny little plantlets. Look at those. They're so stinking sweet. So these are just leaf props, it seems. And they are starting to grow more from them. And so I think with this one at least, the Black Mamba, I'm going to leave it in the sphagnum for a little while longer because it didn't look like it had loads and loads of roots on it. I am a little bit nervous about that though. Maybe I will figure out a way to kind of keep it really moist, or I could put it in no drainage. I could put it in no drainage, or I could put it in something that has a lid on it that would like encourage it to stay humid and nice and moist. Oh my gosh, you can't even see how dark it is because it's so dark. Okay, so that one's staying as is. What about the cumbia? I keep on saying kumbaya. Is it kumbaya? I mean, that's not how you spell kumbaya, but it's also, it could be how you spell kumbaya. This guy, I'm kind of tempted to leave this one in as well because they seem happy and I don't necessarily want to disturb that. I'm so risk averse when it comes to begonias, and especially ones that I'm not as familiar with, and so I'd rather keep it in a medium that I know it's happy in than to switch it and have more issues, because I would love to not lose these. Ideally, I would not lose these. And also with these small ones, I totally could just leave them in moss forever. I have previously grown rhizomaceous begonias in moss, just like full stop, in like a jar, and that worked really, really well for it. So I could just leave these in moss forever and that wouldn't be the end of the world. So for now, they're gonna stay as they are, and they're probably going into the Mills bow. And then for this last one, the Begonia ferox, I'd love your advice on it because one, I've never had it before, and two, it's a rhizomaceous, and so my immediate temptation is to not repot it, which I ideally like to repot new plants when they come into my collection, especially from places like big box stores, because you don't know how they have been treating the plant and like whether or not they've been doing a good job or watering too much. Like, I'd love to check out the roots. And I mean, I haven't seen any pests on these ones, but like just in case, I'd want to like have a look. Can I pull it out easily? Okay, this is what the roots are looking like. They're looking really, really healthy. So I'm kind of tempted to just leave it as is and try, now that I'm more well versed in begonias, try growing the Begonia ferox just as is in soil for now. And I mean, I can always chop and change later. I can always leaf propagate this one and maybe put those cuttings into semi-hydro or something like that. But for now, I feel like this makes sense. I think I'm just gonna put it on a random shelf. Maybe the Vitch Joe in my bedroom behind you guys. I feel like that would be a good spot for it for now. Yeah, I do need to give it water though, because it is a little bit thirsty. It's been so warm here lately. You can tell it's like sunny out, which I love. This little guy is just gonna go on any random shelf because it'll be absolutely fine wherever I put it. I might try and make sure it has at least some grow light on it because it would probably prefer that, but it doesn't need it necessarily, only because it's variegated. So there we go. Those are all of the new plants I have intentionally added to my collection over the past couple months. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and subscribe for more. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye!